Classmates and Mr. Redigan, I am Matt Thompson and my partner Corey and I are speaking on the affirmative side to change the status quo regarding the relationship between church and state. To open, I would like to begin with a quote from Thomas Jefferson, one of this nation's founding fathers. Religious institutions that use government power in support of themselves and force their views on persons of other faiths or of no faith undermine all our civil rights. Erecting the wall of separation between church and state, therefore, is absolutely essential in a free society. The resolution concerning this topic is resolved that the U.S. federal government should enact a plan to remove all religious references from government-based procedures and policies. Corey will go more in depth about that plan later. To make sure everyone clearly knows what we are talking about, I would like to define some terms for you. Defined by dictionary.com, a procedure is an act or manner of proceeding in any action or process, and a policy is a course of action adopted and pursued by a government. The history of this topic has gone all the way back to the birth of this country. To start off, in 1791, the Bill of Rights were ratified, including the First Amendment, which prohibits the making of any law respecting an establishment of religion. Then, in 1954, Congress inserted "under God" into the Pledge of Allegiance, and shortly after, in 1956, a pluribus unum was replaced as the motto with "In God We Trust." The history and buzz surrounding this topic recently brings up our cause for discussion. Also recently, there has been a huge rise in the number of citizens who do not have faith at all. This brings me to my first point, that the number of people not partaking in any religion is growing, so we must not treat one religion better than any other. In a recent survey done by Pew Forum on Religion and Public Life, more than 35,000 Americans ages 18 and older were asked what religion they believed in. The percentage of people who are unaffiliated with religion was 16.1%, which says to me that America is no longer run, or should be run, by thoughts and beliefs of only one religion. Adding in the 4.7% of other religions not Christian-based adds up to 20.8% of the American people having to deal with people in our government making decisions on their beliefs. Also from this survey, among Americans ages 18 to 29, 1 in 4 say that they are currently not affiliated with any religion. That's 25% of our young people who do not believe in a religion. So our country needs to change for that 25%. Our next argument is that church and state being together goes against our First Amendment rights. How can we say to ourselves that we have a freedom of religion when our country is being run by people who make decisions off their religious beliefs? One baffling story comes from the Tribune Business News, in which an atheist student complained about a planned prayer during the commencement ceremony of a graduation at a public school. The school took out the prayer and instead planned a moment of silence. But when the student was to lead the moment of silence, she took the stage and she led the students and families in a prayer. And secondly, what if that prayer... There's two things wrong with this story. First, why was there a planned prayer in a public school ceremony at all? That's just not allowed. Secondly, what if the prayer had addressed Allah or someone of any other religion? The amount of uproar would be enormous. Lastly, if we are truly not a Christian nation, then why is God in the Pledge of Allegiance and the motto? For example, our school says the pledge every single morning. Now why should any person who doesn't believe in God be forced to say it? Every morning I am forced to stand up and pledge to my country, which I am perfectly fine with. But does that also mean that I am pledging to Christianity? And if so, that violates our First Amendment rights. And for the motto, "In God We Trust," not every single American may believe in God. To conclude, the separation of church and state needs to be made. It needs to be made because of the growth of people not affiliated with religion and the violation of our First Amendment rights. Our plan will have this country running like our founding fathers envisioned. I'll leave you with this quote from Barack Obama. "The goal of this office will not be to favor one religious group over another, or even religious groups over secular groups. It'll simply be to work on behalf of those organizations that want to work on behalf of our communities, and to do so without blurring the line that our founding fathers wisely drew between church and state." Thank you. Please vote affirmative.